Okay, we are live, hopefully. Okay, welcome everybody to the Node.js Security Working Group. Um, Before I start, I would like to, we have two actionables. The first one is just a mention. I was in the Node.js Collab Summit and I gave a presentation about, um, it's just consists of an overview of the security working group and our current initiatives. So the uh, the the presentation is available in the minutes, so please take a look if you want. It was very cool actually. I got some um, some good reviews, good feedbacks, and they are really they really want to have the threat model and the best practice document in place. This will be very helpful to drive new features and to drive our users towards like a better ecosystem, and also reducing the scope of reports and vulnerabilities in the Node.js ecosystem. So that was very cool. The second one is we have now an action that is to look to our into our Node.js dependencies vulnerability assessment. That is the issues that we have the workflow, and the workflow create the issues based in disclosure CVEs. And one of them is there is just one open there. I will send the chat the issue. There's two issues. There are two issues actually, but it's the same CVE, so just one. It's about a zlib vulnerability. We already assessed this vulnerability and it doesn't affect Node.js, but anyway, we need to update zlib. And I think in the next month we'll be working on that. So, okay. So before going to our items, I would like to present Yagis. I don't know if I'm spelling your name correctly, but
yeah, you are.
Yeah, if you want to just present yourself.
Hi, I'm Yagis. I'm soon to be a collaborator of Node.js. I was also speaking at NodeConf regarding URL parsers and performance optimizations that's come with it. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, and do you work with security like in a regular basis?
Not really. I have a background in security. I worked at University of California, Santa Barbara in the Applied Crypto Lab for a couple of months. And before that, I worked at a penetration testing company based in Turkey. It's more like a hobby and I have an excessive interest towards it. But yeah.
All right. There's just one, okay, promoting. ZB was in the Collab Summit too, so very cool. All right, okay, move forward. Going to the first item is from the Node.js TSC, that is recharter the ecosystem of security work group. We are discussing it internally, and basically I would like to have micro input, but just to summarize, there are two ways to have working groups and teams in Node.js. The first one is when you have teams, like you just ping the team, for instance, Node.js /HTTP2 or /HTTP. This just is an informal work group team. There is no tasks. There are no tasks assigned to the team. Like they are not responsible to deliver a task in the right time. And we have also the charted working groups, that is teams that are responsible to deliver tasks and make the ecosystem bigger. In our case, we have tasks, but we don't have like deadlines because we are basically open source and doing all the tasks in the time that we have. Just no responsibility, actually no deadline at all. So I just need to have like a conversation with Michael just to align it, but that's just bureaucracy, just paperwork. We don't need to take a look at that if we don't want. Okay, so going directly to our items. The first one is the best practice document. Well, we have discussed it in the collab summit about it. This will be very helpful. We are not sure about where it will be delivered, because basically the threat model, we know that will live in the root of the project, pretty close to the security.md. However, the security best practice document is like a live document for end users, and we don't expect them to look directly to Node.js repository. So we need to publish it somewhere. And currently, there's an initiative running that we are basically migrating the documentation to something bigger, let's say. And probably this document will fit there like in a top, and then we'll include all the work. But for the initial draft, just send it to the nodejs.org. I think that will be good just to get reviews, right? But probably it will be migrated to another repository. So, well, let's go to directly to the document. I will paste in the chat. By the way, Ulysses, I think you need to restrict access to this document, because at least in the threat model, we were receiving a lot of spam. So you can include us, the participants of the meeting, with our email. I will send mine in the chat.
Yeah, that's okay. Or I can open maybe a thread on the security channel or some DM, so you can send me the emails and I can just include you and restrict the level. So editors, I think vision is still to be for everyone, right? But the edition is just us, right, on the team. Okay, I will do for both documents, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Just one thing, Facundo, you are sending your email, your message directly to me in the chat. I think you just need to send to the panelists too. Yeah,
thank you.
Okay, so if we look to the items, let's say we have the threat list. We have at least, let's say, more than 10 threats that we are assessing and showing the mitigation. So let's go top to bottom and see if it's missing something. So going directly to the exposure, sensitive information to an unauthorized actor. It was included, right, like not too long time ago, right? I don't remember this, honestly. Or it was just renamed. Do you remember, Ulysses?
Yeah, there is it was a pending, it was a comment. Maybe I closed the comment also. There was a discussion, I think was last meeting, where we discussed about the potential problem of publishing, folders, files, whatever, when you do the npm publish. So it was a task pending for me to include like a full description. So the one new in the thread list, the first one, that is exposure of sensitive information to an authorized actor, that's the one that I just wrote and added. The rest I didn't modify, but that might be the one that is making different now. Like, is the new one, I mean.
Okay, yeah. I think that this is pretty Tom sees and like straightforward, and I don't think that we need something more further explanation of it. I think that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, if we are happy with the English also on the definition of that, I think we can go ahead and keep it. Yeah.
Facundo, do you know like the CWE is the correct one, or we need to expose it something different?
Let me check. Which one are we talking about right now?
It's the first one, the first threat list.
Let me look up the definition.
Should we update the document directly, or should I
No,
tell
you can.
about my feedback?
You can update directly once we are in the meeting. We normally like to have suggestions, or if we are not in the meeting, so we can review during the meeting. So right now you can just edit, and that's fine.
To me, it looks good. I'm going to check if there's any other CWE that's a bit more specific.
Yeah,
but yeah, I
that's
think
my concern too, because like exposure of sensitive information can be done outside of NPM package scope. So if we have something more specific, would be great, but that's fine. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
All right. Okay. The next one is malicious third-party modules. Basically, is supply chain attacks and so on. So let me see one thing here. Currently, yeah, there's one check that we need to do. Is like if the policy mechanism can mitigate malicious third-party modules. I'm not quite sure. I mean, we can, but that will be a really tough operation, because if you require a module when this module require another one, you'll not be aware about the requiring. Well,
I think this is where I speak up.
okay, yeah.
So we do have userland tools to prevent that, as I tried to present during NodeConf. But the only really basic built-in thing we could publish in this document for now would be a recommendation to look into disabling post-install scripts. And I remember proposing that somewhere else to a different document, I think, or a different place where this was being considered, and got some pushback. So this is still a work in progress in terms of what I could even suggest there. But I'm going to come in and maybe suggest a section here describing how you can disable post-install effectively, and then deal with the lack of scripts running with other tools.
Okay. Okay, I have included to the mitigation disabling npm post install, but okay. But it is not, it actually is not a mitigation itself. For instance, let's say that I install a malicious package called policy, fastfy with E in the end, like a typo. And this package will have access to my entire, we will have all the permission that I have to my application, right?
That's true if you run something from this package, and malicious install scripts are being run even if you install something that's a very deeply nested dev dependency that you never actually invoke. But the package itself is running the scripts while installing. So this has become the most common vector of simple attacks.
Okay,
right?
yeah, that's very.
So that's why I care about disabling them first, and then looking into protections on the level of the application running actual code. In which case, your only choice is lava mode, but that's an ad now, so I'm gonna stop.
Yeah. Do you mind, like, when you have time, to include that mentioned in the document, I will just tag you. So when you have time, would be great to have that
Yeah, sure.
explanation.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy I made it to the meeting. I have to go pick up my kid from daycare
Yeah,
now.
go
So thanks for having me. See you later.
I also added a small footnote to the mitigation side of it for using native modules with pre-builds to avoid native buildings and verifying SHAs.
Using native modules with pre-builds to avoid native buildings. You mean
So Electron-like
yeah.
Electron-like modules share their pre-built versions in their GitHub release, and by using those pre-builds, npm directly verifies shells. I guess I'm not really quite sure about that, but yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't mean, like, for instance, if I install a package that is a native module, it will have the same. I'm not sure if the npm post install will work at same layer, but if I install a native module, it will also have the same permissions that any other package, right? Like you are saying, like using native modules with pre-builds, but most of native modules that we install don't have pre-builds, right?
Yeah, they don't. And the thing is, it's like the same for log files, but for native modules. So you don't need to build for it. You are already using a trusted pre-built version of that package. And you don't need extra dependencies to build that package because it's already installed using it. And some of the native modules, like Better SQLite 3, uses pre-built install package, and they have a install script in their package JSON to pre-build those dependencies from the GitHub.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Would you mind?
I can also share an example on the document if requested.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the idea of this document is, like, for each mitigation, if it's like complex enough, we'll probably create a guide or a blog post that we can just point to the as a mitigation. For instance, using native modules with pre-builds, it will be a blog post, and here we'll just point it to that blog post. Okay. Yeah, I think it would be the same, preventing npm for executing arbitrary script as disabling npm post install. That will be pretty much the same. Okay. I think we are good on that. Well, even with all those mitigations, we know that most of the users will still be vulnerable to it. That's just designed by Node, so that's fine. We just need to have it documented. Let me just check one thing from the policy mechanism from Node.js. I think it's better to think. Okay, I can ping him later. Next one is uncontrolled search path element. That one I wrote. Is basically we received a bunch of reports on HackerOne, and they are not vulnerability, they are designed by Node, so we just need to make sure to document it properly. And well, one of the mitigation is to use a policy with integrity checking, so I think we are good on that too, honestly. if you have any questions.
Is there any action that's taken to move that policy with integrity checking to non-experimental stability? Currently, it's on stability 1 experimental.
Basically, the policy is still experimental. So any sub feature from policy will be experimental because of policy. Policy, I think policy will be experimental for some time yet, because we don't have someone really looking to it at the moment. As far as I know that I don't know the name. Let me see this. I think it's Brandon.
Is it possible for you to share the pull request or the issue regarding that? I can take a look at it.
Oh, I don't think I have it. Not at the moment. Let me check. I don't know if we have the issue at the moment, but I know who you need to talk. Let me see. I'm very bad with names. Let me remember. Bradley, yeah. Let me get his. Is Bradley Farias on the OpenJS Foundation Slack? So I will pass the name here. So probably it's better to talk directly with him. All right. Move forward. Next one, prototype pollution attacks.
Can I make a small point about the first one, going back to the CWE? So I found this one. Let me send the link to them. There we go. So yeah, we were talking about that the files and folders included in the current directory are pushed to the NPM registry. So if you look to that, to the one I sent, in the description, it talks first about web servers and FTP servers that expose unintended files. But then it also includes, in the third sentence, it says, alternatively, an application might package multiple files or directories into an archive file, but the application might not exclude sensitive files that are underneath those directories.
Yeah, that's exactly the case.
Okay, so I'll switch it with the one.
I did it already, yeah.
Oh, great.
Awesome. Okay, prototype pollution attacks. We are good, I guess. Okay. Denial of service using events. Monkey patching. Denial of service of HTTP server. Request smuggling. That would be hard, yeah. Supply chain attacks. And yes, actually the names is a bit weird to me, honestly. Because we have like high level threats like supply chain attacks, and we have also the malicious third-party modules that falls in the same situation at my point of view.
Should we try to stick to the CVE definition so we can try to find, a specific number and try to come up with that? I think we use that nomenclature in some parts for the titles, so it's like a standardized kind of thing. you know, like for example, for the prototype pollution of the number of the CVE. So maybe that help us if we can define the threats under the CVEs, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that was the original intention. And then at some point, we thought that we either could not find a single CWE that applied to the thread, or it was too general or too specific. So we decided, okay, let's not bind ourselves too strongly to that. But yeah, it's a good point that it's the malicious third-party modules might be considered also a supply chain attack.
I think we can merge.
Yeah, it could be a subsection inside supply chain attacks.
Yeah, let me try to do it. Let's see how it goes. Supply chain attacks. Mitigation. So the mitigation will be more general in that case, right? We have two mitigations, and I think we can merge both in that case, right?
Yeah, now I'm thinking twice about this, because actually malicious third-party modules is not always a supply chain attack, right? It's like someone could publish a package and you install it, like, okay, thinking it does something where it actually has malicious intentions, but it's not actually like hijacking some part of your supply chain. So yeah, in thinking it twice, yeah.
But actually, if you install a malicious package, it will be a supply chain attack. As you said, it's like just a subsection of all the supply chain attacks vector, right?
Yeah, I see your point. But I guess, yeah, it depends on how you define supply chain attack, right? If one of your existing dependencies gets compromised, that is a supply chain attack for sure. But I wonder, like, if you, from the beginning, use a module that is already malicious. But we're nitpicking. I think it can be also a supply chain attack.
Yeah, so I think we probably need to reward, like, to avoid just advanced information, like duplicating things. So we have an explanation of supply chain attack in the first section. Then we have explanation of the attacker. Dependency specifying the package JSON file can have exact version number. Okay. Okay, just some explanation.
So maybe we can change the names. So from what I'm reading, supply chain attacks, we're using, at least the description and the mitigations is more of a, okay, you have a dependency tree and some part of it gets hijacked by something, and then that's the attack vector. Whereas malicious third-party modules is like, okay, doing due diligence on what you include in your project, because yeah, it can do anything. It has.
Sorry, I don't understand. You mean reporting the supply chain attacks to something more friendly?
Yeah, more specific rather. You can say, okay, supply chain attacks refer to a compromise dependency. So a dependency that used to be good and then it became bad. So in our case, the examples we give is like, if you don't pin your dependency versions, then an update that introduces a vulnerability will affect you without you realizing. And we categorize that as a supply chain attack, right? So that to me sounds like, okay, you have something that is known to be good, but at some point it becomes compromised without you realizing.
But that's not the case of malicious third-party modules, because even if it was good in the past and then it's bad right now, it's still a malicious package right now. We normally
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, my point is that those two are different, and maybe we can just keep them as separate things, but rather rename supply chain attacks to make it more specific, so it doesn't include.
What about renaming malicious supply chain attacks to just malicious third-party modules and merge all the explanation?
Yeah, I think this
That makes sense.
Let me check what do we include in the definition of supply chain attack. Yeah, I think this makes sense because we're only talking about third-party dependencies. So yeah, I think it makes sense.
So currently, Node.js, any package can access powerful resource. This kind of attack is not considered vulnerability. Okay. I think I can just merge it here. And then, well, now then we have the Node.js that we just give a briefly explanation about the policy mechanism and why disabling post install. I think ZB will do an explanation and possible. I think we can remove the possible vector attacks, right? That doesn't make sense for end users at least, right?
No, I think it does. So these are like the things that you should look out for
the reference.
Yeah. So it's like a checklist you can go through for your project. It's like, okay, do I have any typos in my dependencies, or do all of my dependencies have like a, I don't know, healthy GitHub repo, things like that.
All right. And about the mitigations, we have using native modules with prebuilds, pin dependency versions that will be the same, use lock files, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just remove pin dependencies.
No, yeah, but
do you think it's different? Let me.
Those are two different things, because if you don't pin it, but if you run npm install, then it mutates package.json, and for most of the end users, it's really hard to read package.json.
So okay, yeah. Oh yeah, actually there's one. Okay, let me just merge, but not merge, but move to be close.
Yeah.
Use mitigations for log file poisoning. That's interesting. So I will do it like a subsection of that mitigation, because that's pretty related, right? That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Prevent npm from executing arbitrary scripts. Okay, I will just move it right after the native modules with prebuilds. We need to remove that color. I'm not good on that. If someone can do that for me, it would be awesome. Okay. Use npm CI instead of npm install. This enforces the log file, so the consistency. Oh, that's great. Actually, I didn't know about it. I was using just because I knew that it was cool, but not the reason. I think that we are very good on the mitigations. Any idea, like for the mitigation? I think that, I mean, you should be careful with the package you install, but even though you need to perform those mitigations just to make sure that you won't be affected, and it's also impossible to say that it's 100% a mitigation. But yeah, it helps for sure.
Yeah, indeed, it's just a mitigation, not a fix.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
One thing, going back to the description, since we merged both. So the first 3 paragraphs talk specifically about a dependency
Python attack.
becoming compromised, right?
Yes.
And then the next 4 paragraphs talk about what was before the malicious third-party modules, right? And to me, those last 4 paragraphs mainly talk about, okay, why do we care about malicious third-party modules, right? Why is this a problem? It's a problem because packages can access powerful resources and so forth, right?
Yeah. For I see like the first one, just an explanation of the attack, and the second one is how it can affect Node.js, and then the mitigation.
So could we maybe put that into a subsection that I'm trying to think of a good name, right? But it's basically why do we, why is it a problem? So packages have access to powerful resources.
How it affects Node.js, right?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Or just Node.js?
No, but maybe let me write that.
Try
Also,
to.
we can go. So maybe we can use this. We can put this section first. So okay, this is why packages should be vetted and why they could be a problem. And then we put the first paragraph saying, yeah, the supply chain attack that could affect them goes like this. So now let me do a quick change and we can roll it back if it doesn't work. So let's cut this here and then do a subsection called supply chain attack. This is
But by the way, I need to go in 5 minutes to hop on another meeting, but I added 2 notes at the end of DNS Rebinding. I just want to tell those before I go. Sorry for interrupting. One of them is adding time-based attacks, comparing 2 strings. If one of them is sensitive, it enables time-based attacks. So crypto.safe equal, there's like an API to handle that. We can recommend that. And the other thing that I recommend is using secure heap for supported platforms. And if you have any questions, I can answer them before I go.
Okay, I think that's okay. That's okay to include. Like, honestly, would be great to just if you can include some reference the way that we are doing, like
I will add it after the meeting. I just wanted to make sure that we are all aligned, because these are highly complex attack vectors, and not everybody knows about.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need necessarily like a full explanation, just an overview, like maybe a real use case. I know that sometimes it's very difficult. And about the second one, not entirely sure about the threat attack for the security heap, but is mostly when you are in a shared environment, right?
Yeah, when you run in a shared environment and another process grabs your heap and then tries to decipher it to understand what important information you have on your heap.
But that's not a threat, right? That's just the way that the system works.
A couple of weeks ago, I opened a pull request for crypto random bytes to store them in the memory, and one of the collaborators, I think one of them was a TSC member, told me that it's the only option to use important cryptographic values in heap is only be used with secure heap is enabled. So if you store cryptographic functions like important values, passwords, for example, then it's open to this kind of attack.
Okay.
I can explain it like
Yeah,
two
sure,
or three.
sure. Go ahead. Yeah,
That's fine.
the data
So, yeah,
would be awesome.
Nice meeting you, and I have to hop off now. Have a great day.
See you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Okay. So let me just ping the Yagis in that. All right. Yeah, we're going back to the malicious third-party modules. Did you change something?
Yeah, so I put the original text first. So, okay, packages can access powerful resources. You can do it, they can run arbitrary code. Then I highlighted, okay, this kind of attack is not considered vulnerability, rather it's the responsibility of the application, because that's the important part here.
Yeah.
Then the last paragraph, which I'm not really sure it should be there, but we can leave it there for now. And then I added a subsection called supply chain attacks, which is more of an elaboration of, okay, how malicious third-party modules could affect your supply chain.
Yeah, I think that's very good. That makes sense to me, at least. What do you think, Ulysses?
Yep, I think makes much more sense now.
Awesome. The last one is the DNS Rebinding. That's very hard actually to explain, and because this is technically a this shouldn't be a vulnerability. So let me see one thing. This attack can target.
Yeah, in the last paragraph, we say that it's not a vulnerability.
Yeah, but I don't understand just the vector. Let's see. I think I wrote it, but I don't remember. Since websites opening a web browser can make. Okay.
I think I might have
yeah, that
written
makes
this.
sense.
I think I might have written this by looking at the descriptions on the HackerOne issues.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a long time, so.
Yeah, actually, just to summarize it, I think this is basically, for instance, you run node.js and you use the inspect protocol, and and for some reason you are affected by DNS rebinding. Let's say that someone entered in your etc.hosts and renamed your localhost to a different path, and then it will be compromised in the. Let me see one thing here. Okay, yeah, all right. Let's say way more simple. You run your Node.js with the inspector protocol. It opens a port, and then any application running in your machine, if request data or try to connect using WebSocket, they can. The thing is, we have a mitigation for that. That is, they can only go to connect if they provide a password that is showed in the console. So technically, this is not a vulnerability. And I don't think that's how they can do that. I don't have.
Does it always require a password?
Yeah, let me try one thing here.
Well, I will say like maybe an obvious mitigation can be suggesting Node to run with the inspect flag enabled in productive environment, for example. That can be a very simple mitigation, but
Yeah. Let me add.
What? Sorry, what was the mitigation?
Yeah, I was saying like maybe the mitigation is if you're in a productive environment or critical environment or whatever, don't run using the inspect, just to prevent this kind of attack as a suggestion, right?
Actually, there's one thing is like if you send a signal for the process, it will open the inspector by default. So that there is a mitigation.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's bad.
I see.
That there is a mitigation, a CLI flag that you can pass like a void or something, no signal or something like that,
Mm.
Yeah, but okay. That would require the attacker to already have access to. Okay,
to the machine itself. Like, I'm not sure if they can access that without that. Let's say, for instance, when you let me share my screen here. Okay. So when you run the application with inspect protocol, it runs the WebSocket, and this is the password basically. So if I try to WebSocket, I don't know. Oh, I don't have it. Well. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how it can be affected. Because this is the password. The DNS rebinding. Oh, wait. I have a question. When we perform the DNS rebinding, we are forwarding the path. Let's say, for instance, I have my etc host that every time that I enter in the attacker website, it will redirect using DNS rebinding to my local host. Right? So if I enter in that site, let me see here. No, it won't work. I mean, I have no clue how the DNS rebinding should be explained here, because if the attacker can have access to the inspector using the DNS rebinding, this is a node.js vulnerability, not something that we need to expose. An idea? Like,
yeah, I will say like, because one of the requirements, right, for this attack is like the attacker should have kind of a control over the DNS resolver, or at least change the IP of the DNS resolver, right? Like if you have access to the modem or like the router in your home, and you just change the DNS resolver, and then you just
but
pass all the traffic, right?
Even if they have access to the router and anything, they won't be able to connect to the inspector because they will not have the password.
Right, because they don't have this UID, right? So
yes,
they have to guess it anyway, right? Yeah, that can be a good option. I mean, I see this pattern of, protecting the URL with a UID kind of things. For example, when people use S3 to provide you invoices or things like that, sometimes I report some in the past books like that in HackerOne, like I can guess then the invoices, because they are numerical, things like that. And they changed to UID, and it was actually super hard to guess. So I think there is a chance that you can guess it, but you need to do a lot of combinations to, get a random UID before.
Yeah,
that's kind of complex.
Nearly impossible. I mean, they can obviously, but like, let me see the description. Control the origin to the request, so they can see the originate from local IP address. Yeah, I don't think that's we need to mention it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
it was
remove it.
okay. Yeah, I was thinking also that another option that maybe we can have on the best document, I mean, on the best practices document is the same as we have the mitigations and the description. Maybe we can include some kind of a score, in terms of how often this happen or likely to happen, how complex this attack it is or how
Oh,
much you have to
how
super worry or
complex
not,
is important. Yeah,
I think, yeah.
it's interesting, like to have
Mhm.
how interesting is it. So, Facundo, do you agree removing that?
I think we might be missing something because on the documentation of the inspector mode, it still mentions DNS rebinding as a possible threat. So there's a section called browsers, WebSockets, and same origin policy. Let me send a link.
Let me see. Let me look to the HackerOne report too.
And there it mentions that, yeah, Node.js does some things for additional security against DNS rebinding attacks. And I remember seeing one actual issue reported. So what I'm guessing is that if you need that unique ID in order to connect to the debugger, there might be a way where either that ID is exposed by the application somehow, or you don't actually need it to send requests.
Ah, okay. I think I found it. Let me.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Yep.
Rafael.
Yeah, sorry. Let me share my screen. Apparently, I can't share it. Let me see what I can't share. Okay, I think that's fine. So let's say I'm sharing my desktop now, right? So
Mhm.
inspecting. So let's say that the attacker redirected to my local host in the port of the inspector, which is the full, and instead of the password, the UID, they add the JSON. So if I remember correctly, that will give me the password.
Okay, I see.
So yeah, this attack works.
Now it's clear.
Yeah.
Now it's super clear. Yeah. So yeah, it will remain in the document, I guess, too.
Yeah, I think that we
Okay.
need to mention the /JSON in the document, just
Yeah.
actually just for us, because otherwise we will forget it.
Yeah.
So one of the mitigation is disable inspect through signal. Let me see. Okay. Okay. So basically, And the second one, okay, I have included the disable inspector by using the signal. And the second one is, what would be the other mitigation? I don't remember.
Maybe, yeah, like what Ulysses said, do not run applications in inspect mode in production settings.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. I think we don't need to mention the /JSON because there is no place to mention it. So I think we are good, and we just need like just a few things, but I believe we will finish it in the next meeting, and then we can open the pull request.
Mhm. Yep,
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
good.
great.
Awesome. So thank you for joining. See you in the next 2 weeks. And yeah, great work. Thank you, everybody.